It's me. All right, so this is Leverage season 5. This is actually the last season of Leverage itself. This is another show after this called Leverage Redemption. It takes place 8 or 9 years after. Because, they wrapped up the show. The show it ran out of time and didn't want to get picked up again. Obviously, stopped having as many viewers as they did before, so they shortened the season, and I feel that they did a good job of wrapping it up, but you'll see. I do recommend going back to Leverage Redemption. I'll talk more about that when that time comes. The only negative part about it is that in Leverage Redemption, you don't get as much Hardison time because of Aldous Hodge was, I think he's Hawkman or something, Hawkman or something like that in Black Adam. So he was gone for part of the season. They mention him all the time, but it's fine. It's good. It's still good. I mean, 8 years apart. Of course, I missed it and stuff or whatever. Anyway, we'll dig into this one. 15 episodes. I'm gonna go through them. You can decide which ones you want. The reason why I had a hard time taking things out is because some of the episodes are not great, but their guest bad guy is good in the episode. So the very first episode is called The Very Big Bird Job. It's the wonderful Cary Elwes, whatever. The guy who was in The Princess Bride, that guy. He is the bad guy here. It has to do with plane, a plane was damaged or something, or had the crappy parts or whatever, and they're basically trying to create the con for him. They kind of go off the rails with it pretty quickly behind the scenes and stuff like that. So, but it's good because he's ever charming in it as he usually is, and watching him just, the whole experience with him is just hysterical towards the end. The Blue Line Job. The Blue Line Job is about a hockey team owner who does not care about his team, and he's actually putting them in the position to become so injured and die, have concussion syndrome and stuff like that. So that one is not great, but it has Treat Williams in it, and Treat is a treat in everything he does. So I like that one. The First Contact Job, there's basically a scientist who steals stuff from someone. So in order to get it back at him, they they convince him he's seeing aliens. So that's good. I think I like the actor in that one too. The French Connection Job, that one also has a bad guy who I like, who is just kind of funny, but it's basically seeing Elliot goes undercover to become a chef or something like that for this guy, and it's pretty good how he does it. The whole thing's about just how the restaurateur is just destroying people's lives for various things. The Give Me a K Street Job. This one, so the reason why I like Give Me a K Street is because, so most of it is Parker has to lead a cheerleading team to a competition. But the rest of the team, in order to get things to go well for the competition, that one's got a good bad guy to it now. I can't think of who it is. But basically, in order to get stuff for the competition, they have to do all this crazy backdoor politics. And I thought it was interesting just to go ahead and watch everybody have to do some kind of political thing in order to get this to happen to fruition. So every single person has to deal with some kind of politics, and watching how difficult it is on a regular basis is delightful. Everybody on the team hates it except for Sophie. She's this is Grifter Christmas for her. She loves it. The DB Cooper Job. So, you've met McSweden earlier. He's one of those FBI guys that has a crush on Parker. You've met him before, and he's basically telling a story of his dad or something, having something in the history. It's kind of go back in history kind of thing again. The guy who just died, I can't think of his stupid name right now, but one of the main characters in the episode is an actor who's just recently passed away, and I can't think of his name. The Real Fake Car Job. That one has Matthew Lillard in it, and he's a guy who's like in witness protection, and they're trying to get at him for money and stuff like that, and they fake a car. The Broken Wing Job. Parker, again, is she like breaks her leg or something like that, and she gets left behind while the team goes on another show, another gig, and watching how she's taken all the stuff she's learned so far from everybody else and doing all of this without being able to walk is an interesting take on how Parker moves things forward. The next two episodes, the rundown and the frame up. So what they wanted to do is very similar what you just saw here with the girls' night and the boys' night and stuff like that. They wanted to show the team breaking off in two separate groups to see the experience. Now, we knew that the show wasn't going to keep going forward, so there had been a thought at one point in time to create a spin-off that was just Elliot, Parker, and Hardison, and it just never came to fruition. But it's interesting to see how each group plays. So the rundown job basically is Elliot's friend, which is like the least problematic, Baldwin. He was one of the guys. He was the Baldwin that was in Firefly. I was gonna say Serenity, but whatever. He's the Baldwin that was in Firefly, the least problematic Baldwin. He's like his friend. There's a scene in it that I absolutely love. There's like two scenes in it that I actually love. One having to do with a pressure plate and a mortar, and the other having to do with Hardison doing like Morse code to save some people. The only thing that gets a little wonky with this episode is that there are points in time where Hardison, you're trying to point out how brilliant Hardison is, and he starts like, working with a keypad without anything else, and then like looking up at the like sky, where he's seeing like all of like code and stuff like that, and you're like, he's never done that before. Like, well, I don't know why we have to do that now, but he's never actually been someone who's like, let's look up at the sky and look at that. So in my head, I'm like, what is he looking at? Like, are they just telling him, look to the left, look to the right, look over here, look over there, look down, you know what I mean? He doesn't do that normally, so whatever. It's hokey, but I'll allow it because it's a cute little show with how they do things. This is the third scene, too, now that I'm thinking about it, where the three of them have to, like, break into an office and click, you know what I mean? Like, you'll see something that Parker does and Hardison does and Elliot does. It's just interesting. The frame-up job. The frame-up job is the adventures of Nate and Sophie, and the ever-wonderful Sterling makes an appearance there. It's just Sophie gets accused of stealing a painting that she didn't steal. Watching why it means something to her is cute, but it's probably my least. I didn't like it as much as I liked the rundown job, because I thought it was all right. I'm just not interested with Sophie and Nate as much as I am with the other three. The low price job. It's basically the first time that you really see what Sophie's been doing with her team. So basically, instead of having it in Boston this season, I forgot to mention that in the beginning. Instead of having it in Boston this season, they do it in Portland, Oregon, because they burned everything in Boston. You find that out within the first, 10 minutes of the first episode. So it's in Portland, Oregon now with how they do things. And very shortly after they arrive, Sophie's trying to figure out what she's going to do in freaking Portland, because it's fucking Portland. And she decides that she's going to go ahead and teach kids how to act, which is hysterical because she's a horrible actress. But the low price job is like her trying to teach all of her students. She's done it a few times this season, but like her trying to do it and like the dumb thing she does for it. At the very end, you get a little background on Elliot, which I like, because up until this point, you've only ever gotten like female background on Elliot. And I'm just like, give me some real meat, like his family growing up. The White Rabbit job. This one is interesting because it's how to hack someone's memories. Basically, there is a guy who owns a company, and he has become very broken in the head and wants to destroy the company and the town it supports and blah, blah, blah. And you find out that there's a reason why he's all broken in the head and why he's acting like this. The con itself is one of the most difficult cons of all time because you're basically hacking a human being and their feelings and their emotions and manipulating their memories and stuff like that. So I thought it was interesting just to go ahead and see all the various ways that you can hack a human. The corkscrew job, you can give it or like it's a winner, like give or take. It's not, I'm not losing a ton of sleep over the corkscrew job. It's just they have to steal a bottle of wine and why and all the ways that you can hack wine. So if you care about wine, watch it. The toy job is funny because of how they can make any toy popular. Just watching them almost manipulate like how children can enjoy a toy, and they have a good concept where it's like, you know, what's the most popular thing? Well, a parent who wants 5 minutes of peace and quiet is willing to get their kid any toy that they possibly want. And I'm like, this is fucking, as a mother now, I'm like, this is fucking brilliant. Like, this is excellent hacking here. So that's pretty much that story. That one's okay too. The last one is called The Long Goodbye Job. So the team is, you find out that something weird is happening with Nate and with Hardison, and you are finally finding out what they've been doing and why. Towards the middle of it, crazy things happen, and like so like there's almost like a real ending and a fake ending and a kind of ending and stuff like that. So if you find like one of the endings, it made me emotional, obviously, because it's holy shit. They were like, let's do this as crazy as we possibly can. Again, Sterling shows up. So Sterling's a nice way to wrap up this entire show with everything that they're doing. But it's basically the way that they're all saying goodbye to each other and the life and all that other good stuff. So I thought it was a good ending for the show, and how they did it. And then if they end that way and everybody lives happily ever after, it's totally fine. There's a nice bit of synchronicity. One of the things that this show does really well is synchronicity. Like, if you're a fan, they do the same things in, like the last episode has a lot of callbacks to the first episode. Like, pay attention to 10 pounds of crazy in a 5-pound bag. That is something they said in the first episode. So a lot of the call-outs that they did in The Long Goodbye are the same things that they did in the first episode. So it may seem like it was a long time ago, but it probably was like just a couple months ago for you to watch it. But it was a nice ending. So after this happens, everybody quote-unquote lives happily ever after. Until Leverage Redemption picks up like 8 to 9 years later. Leverage Redemption was actually supposed to kick off earlier because it got greenlit as well, but then COVID happened and then they had to redo things. So let me know what you think of this season. And probably not my favorite season, but it's the last season, so it's just wrapping up all the ends and stuff. And then once you're done with this, I expect an overall one, and then we can dig into Leverage Redemption. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.